Today I'm going to explain how I use OneNote to organize my embroidery files and also how I use OneNote to collect my ideas on how to do a project. So what we're looking at now is OneNote, and I have a whole bunch of different notebooks that I've created. So some of these I'm just building ideas on a project, like I want to do a Dresden neighborhood quilt. So I've got a bunch of different ideas in my notebook on how to do that. Different pictures that I've collected over the internet, ideas for roof shapes from just some pictures I've seen as I've been browsing the web, some iconic buildings from around the world, just to add interest to it when I finally get around to doing that. So it's kind of like my idea board. I'm working on a baby quilt that's coming up. So I've got some different embroidery ideas of different files that I could use in the quilt. The woman who's asked me to make it sent over some pictures and with the minky, with decoration for the baby's room, and a bee that she's interested in, and some quilt stencils that I was doing some research on. So there's all different ideas there. Idea for borders. Just you can get the idea though. Different ways of putting it together, different embroidery files I may need as I'm completing the project. But the one that really is most spectacular and is more helpful than anything else is my embroidery files. I have so many Juju files that I wanted to make a project last week and I couldn't figure out, did I download that one? Did I not download that one? If I did, where did I put it? What saying do I want to put on it? And I ended up getting more locked into trying to figure out what I owned and what I didn't own and what I needed than actually working on the project. So what I did was I created a Designs by Juju folder, and I created the organization technique that I find works for me. What are the applique files? Which ones are fonts? I can stretch that out a little bit. Embroidery, Mendy in the hoop. So I can go along and I can look and see, okay, I own these files. And as you can see, I also put pictures and other the design files and the instructions. Everything I have for each one of these files is all stored in OneNote. So when I'm looking at it, I know what size hoops. I know when I purchased it. I know where I've stored it. So just to get you a little idea of how to do this, you would create a notebook. So I added one called Designs by Juju. And once you're in there, you're going to add sections. I can add a test section for you. So for me, this is the best way. You might want to do it by what the design's for. Baby designs, Christmas designs, coffee, kitchen, whatever. But for me, this works because I have them stored by holiday and type of design, subject matter in my Dropbox where I store all my files. So basically what I did was I set up a template so I can add a page and then I can use this information. I can either copy it and paste it into the new page, or I can just copy the page and paste it, and I have a new one. And then I would type in here the name of the file. I like using the DBJJ numbers, whatever they are. I'm just going to make something up as I go here. And whatever the name of the file is on the website, I also will put it in here. I have this tags line. So let's take a look at like this one. So this was the DBJJ 834 Top Dogs Applique Set 4. But what's nice is in here in the tags, I've typed dog, Bichon Frise, Chihuahua, Schnauzer. So if I'm looking for a Schnauzer, I can just type in Schnauzer in the search, and it's going to show me all the files I have for Schnauzers, which probably isn't very many. Then the other thing that's really important is the file location. So I know I've downloaded this one, and I've sorted in my Dropbox under animals, dogs, and then the file name. That way, when I'm going through here and I'm searching and I find something, I know exactly how to get to it in my Dropbox. I also find it's helpful to keep track of the file formats that I have and the sizes. I'll be honest though, not all of this information has been populated in every single one of these. I just finished doing it, and going back and cleaning up some of that other stuff is on my to-do list. One of the really cool things though is now that I've got all my files in here, I can come in and I can search, like if I search for dog, here are all the files that I have related to dogs. I like dogs. If we do Schnauzer, I only have the one that we're looking at now. But you get an idea of how this is really helpful if you're looking for something for Christmas. You can get started by just looking at the word Christmas and seeing which ones you have that are related to that. So the other thing I do then, after I put in this information on what the file is, and you can see here I didn't fill in the sizes, I put the design card in. So I can see, oh, that's what they look like. And here it says what the sizes are and that there's 6 sayings, the whole bit. I also put the thumbnails in, so I have an idea of how many different colors, what sizes they actually are, how many stitches, how many colors, how many stops. So I have all that information at my fingertips when I'm thinking about doing something. So recently I wanted to do the wall hangings. So I went into, let me get back to it, oh, in the hoop, and oh, okay, here they are. I wanted to figure out what the size was of them. So all that information was right here. So I figured out what the size is. I also wanted to put a saying in so that I could go into sayings and I could look and find whatever saying it was I wanted to add to it. But I could tell in here what the finished size of the saying was, and then I knew if it was going to fit on that wall hanging that I did. It's really simple. It doesn't take much at all. To add in, let's go back to this blank one I made. To add pictures, you would go under Insert and then Pictures and browse to the picture that you want to insert. So that's good for a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF file if you want to add it into your OneNote. I usually place the cursor where I want it to be, and then I go ahead and add it. And then if you want to add in PDFs, you would select the printout option and browse to the PDF that you want to import and select it, and it gets imported. Occasionally when I do that, I'll get an error message, especially if I've done lots and lots of them in a row. If I close out of OneNote and reopen it, it works fine the next time. OneNote has other options that are really fun. You can use your mouse to draw, or you can create shapes. So if you play around with it, you can find a lot of other features that you might find useful. But for me, just being able to add in all the information I need about the embroidery sets that I own, and to be able to have the pictures there and the stitch out information really makes it easier to plan a project and get started. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you learn from this. If you need to reach out to me, please drop me a line. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.